So, some months ago, I went to the local brewery to pick up some supplies and I found a bunch of red flowers outside the gift shop. I thought they were the
L'épiche rose.
but it turns out they were not. Anyway, later that day, I was finishing the design of my project for the great guitar build of this year, which is a bass. And I already have a bass and I love my bass, but I want to try some new things. I bought different fabrics on Amazon to make a new fabric top, and I found this one with flowers that I liked a lot, so I decided to use it. My templates for the Detmolder series are ready, and I also got wood. The body is gonna be made out of alder in 3 layers, and the neck is gonna be made out of birch. I used the bandsaw at the carpentry where I bought the wood for the rough cuts, so I'm gonna start from here. This bass has a humbucker in the neck, precision bass pickups in the middle, and a jazz bass pickup in the bridge. So this is how the top and bottom layers looked like. These are the inner sides, of course. And the 3 layer plywood in the middle. Once they are all routed, I can glue them together. Don't forget, you can never have too many clamps. It is a short scale bass, so the neck is a bit shorter than a jazz bass or a precision bass, but it is a Fender style bolt-on neck with a reversed headstock. The truss rod has an adjustment wheel on the side of the heel, so now I have to route the neck to insert the truss rod. The fretboard is made out of maple, and I'm gonna mark it with a pencil following the distances that I calculated using an Excel spreadsheet. Then I used a Japanese saw to score each fret. This is gonna be a fretless bass, but the process is the same. Then I use a template for the fretboard and route it. And then I use the fretboard to route the neck and the space for the adjustment wheel of the truss rod. So at this point most of the woodwork is done and it starts to feel and look a little bit more like a real bass. It's time to glue the fabric. I am also going to use the fabric to make a cover plate for the back.
One, two.
I use Titebond to glue cotton fabric to the wood. It works really well. It's also good to have a couple of extra hands to glue the fabric and make sure that everything lines up. Once it's flat, let it rest until it's dry. For the next step, I will use a 2-component lacquer in proportions of 2:1 with a hardener, and I will spread it with this object called the weenie roller. Ready to apply the lacquer, I'm gonna give it a thick coat first, and after some hours I'm gonna apply a second thick coat. Then I will sand it, and then continue with a couple of extra coats. I wanted the fretboard to match the body, so I drew some flowers taking inspiration from it, and I will use epoxy for the inlays. I also routed the maple fretboard because I wanted to have walnut binding on the sides. Then I drilled holes in each flower, and then I used a very small router bit and routed the flowers. I gave it another hand of the 2-component lacquer to be sure that the fabric was solid, and then I was able to route the binding. The body is also gonna have walnut binding. Routing the flat parts was easy, but this was my first time applying binding to a guitar that has an arm contour, and that was very tricky. I finally used this cutting tool that I bought and modified around 10 years ago when I wanted to do binding for the first time, but I didn't dare to. So after such a long time, I used it for the first time.
Now we're going to do 98 BPM. We're going to do 98 BPM. We're going to do a 12/8 or a 6/8 feel, depending on how you want to count it. So it'll be 1, 2, 3. Get a cleaner start on. 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
The next step was to work on the inlays, and I used epoxy with different colors. So I started by filling the green colors, the leaves mainly. Then I moved on to the purples and pinks and red and so on. And yeah, this took a while, a couple of days, because I had to wait for the epoxy to dry, but it turned out pretty well. With the binding out of the way, the body was nearly finished, and one of my final tasks regarding woodworking was to carve the neck, which is one of my favorite things. I also had to sand the fretboard with a 12-inch radius. Then I stamped my signature on the headstock. And finally, I used shellac for the finishing. It was my first time trying this product and I loved it. On the last day, I mounted the hardware and worked on the electronics. So it was time to finish the assembly and try it. This base has two outputs, one is for the neck and the other one is for the bridge. So let's try it.
It's working! It's working!
Before I finish the video, there's something else I would like to talk about. I also built a guitar for the kit build competition. I started this project at the same time as the bass and I worked on both in parallel. Now, it seems that I had an issue with my registration for the kit build competition because some weeks ago I realized that I was not registered yet and I tried to register but it was too late, so I couldn't register officially. But anyway, I just wanted to show the guitar and I will make a video about it later. That's it for this video. I hope you really like my bass and I also hope you like the guitar that I built for the kit competition. Thank you very much.